Give me 1 second, man. There I am. How you doing, bro?
Yeah, I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Good, good. I'm sorry for that. For some reason, the passcode was not working out, and I don't know. I had to label send me a new one, so we're a little late, but we're fine. You're the last one for me today, so
Oh, cool. I'm glad I'm still able to do this interview and be able to talk about some brand new music coming out in mid-August through Nuclear Blast.
yep. Here we are. New album, Goliath, August 11th.
Yeah, and I've gotten the chance to be able to spin this over the past week or so, and I really love what you guys are doing with this record. I mean, it just hits so many great heavy moments. It's got some great melodic moments that's going on that I always loved about the band. I mean,
Mhm.
whether you're doing the hyper blast, whether you're talking about obviously with yourself, I love your vocal range and what you always sing about. I mean, particularly on this album, I love what you're accomplishing thematically with this album. It's just fun to listen to from start to finish.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the compliment, man. And everything we do it out of heart. And Cataclysm's always been very truthful to itself. And we are very connected with current events, current things. Even looking back in life, moving forward, we always have a connection with everything that's happening to us all together every day. So Cataclysm is a very therapeutic band, for us as well. So.
Yeah, I can definitely hear that. I mean, it sounds like there's a lot of binging and purging on this album. Like it feels like a lot of aggression is coming out, but it feels like it's a good, healthy aggression that's coming out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, this record was written during the kind of the end of the pandemic. It was the beginning of 22. We started putting this thing together, and we took the whole year to write it. Took our time, let the songs sit for a little bit, go back to them. But it was a very organic and very easy record to write because I think all of our emotions built up from this pandemic, being locked down, and although I live in Florida, so I didn't have too much of it. I had 3 months only that we were shut down here, but a lot of my family and people around me changed a lot during this thing, and it wasn't easy for everybody. And so it affected me in a certain way. And I think all the emotions from that have been put into this record. That's why it's a very aggressive record. It's got very dramatic, melodic feels, and it's a very honest album.
Yeah, and I appreciate that so much. And that's not to say that the previous work hasn't been honest in its own ways, but I mean, especially post-pandemic, like you were talking about, just like this new type of aggression that's going on, the new state of the world that's going on, and just being able to see it through your guys' eyes is just it's a really great way to be able to look at it.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's. I mean, I think the artwork of this record is extremely powerful. This whole concept came about with just me having a conversation with a bunch of friends of mine, having some beers and hanging out, and then one day, so one of my friends was like, "Dude, this is like a modern day David versus Goliath moment we're living right now," and I was like, "Holy shit, that's it, right there." I go, I know it's biblical and everything, but at the same time, it's very accurate to whatever it was based upon in that time throughout all the millennia, all the way to now, we are still doing the same things. It's like it's I feel that nothing has changed much, and I think there's never been more relevant than now. The concept behind this record is very human one. I'm very pro freedom of choice and freedom of expression, especially. And to me, was very important that we preserve these type of things. I don't like anything forced on anybody. It's not only about what happened with COVID. It's about a lot of different things that today are affecting everything that we are involved with, and I think that's a problem we're facing today. And so I don't like censorships. I don't like things like that, and making my voice heard as far as like through thematic music and putting my kind of thoughts out there in an open way. It's not being like, hey, that's how it is. I'm just putting my way of thinking out there and the way I see things, and and then people can make up their own choices and decisions on it. To me, it's very important to debate, very important to have that freedom of expression. Like I said, you won't be able to be a journalist or a podcaster or anything if you don't have that freedom. So I'm very, very pro protecting that, you know.
Oh, for sure. And yeah, like you mentioned, the artwork is just so perfectly embossed with this as well too. Like
Yeah.
I love the way it looks, you know, just from the artwork style to it and just showing that great look behind it. So, I mean, it's a perfect album cover to show off the music and thematically what's going on.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And then the one Hand in Hand and Eller and Cantor was the main guy that did the artwork. He was the perfect match for Kataklysm on this thing because he's his painting, his touch, his way of doing things is so like historic that we needed to have figure come back. But we've done it in a way where even the artwork and very well the colors, you know, like make it so like, you know, and I think we hit it pretty well with that, you know.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, that was the first thing I got to check out before I got to check out the album proper was the artwork. And then being able to see that and then going into it and seeing how that all worked together. It's just so cool to see that. And
Yeah.
you know, just starting off with the album too, it's just I love how vicious the album starts off too. I mean, of course, you know, just like so many of the great Kataklysm albums in the past, it has that a great voiceover before it just kicks right in, and it just felt like a great proper Kataklysm album right from the beginning, and it goes all the way through the end like that. I love that.
Look, it's when we released the first single, we thought it was the perfect single to kind of um make it a place where everybody's like, all right, Kataklysm is here, they're as heavy as ever, and it's a very complete track, you know. Bringer of Vengeance, it was like a very strong track, but it doesn't represent the entire record because it's impossible to do a Kataklysm. Every song has its own elements, you know what I mean. It's a very complex type of record in that sense where, you know, if Black Wings of Deception, first track, for example, is nowhere near, for example, a song like Combustion or even the Sacrifice for Truth or something. They all have their own vibes, and people have to kind of listen to a few singles in order to get that type of idea, you know. Because we had some people who were like, there's no blast beats on Bringer of Vengeance, you guys are slowing down and blah blah blah. I'm like, you haven't heard the record. You haven't heard the record, you know. So like, you know, the land of the living to the land of the dead. I mean, that's 260 beats per minute blast beats in there. It's like insanity. You know, I don't even know how the hell he's gonna do that live, but he's like, I got it, no problem, you know. So we are very careful of writing music we could reproduce live as well. So on that note, but the bottom line is, today everybody's got no patience. Everybody's kind of like, just right away, that's it, that's a record. It's like, no, you got to give it a chance. So your acknowledgement of the start to finish of this record is very connected to each other, but at the same time every song has its own identity. It's very
Oh,
important.
oh, for sure. And that makes for a better album experience as well, too, rather than all the songs sounding the same. I mean, if it's like that, it can get very tiresome no matter what the tempo is. I mean, you want to hear some ebb and flow that's going on there. And,
Yeah.
you know, whether you're hearing the hyperblast, whether you're hearing a very slowed down drum intro, which I was not expecting, but it was so cool to be able to start that song off with, or more of the
Yeah, yeah.
piano driven stuff. And I mean, there's so much that's going out throughout the entire album. And like you mentioned, and like I've experienced, it's the kind of thing that you need to listen to it to start to finish to really grasp what's going on.
Correct. And the other thing also is that, you know, Cataclysm is a band that writes in an emotional way where we don't have one specific delivery, which a lot of bands, in my opinion, I mean, at least the ones that some of them that I've seen, hit in a very aggressive mode, and that's it. So every song is going to be similar if you do that. So Cataclysm hits different places, you know. It has that, I'm feeling really aggressive here, but here I'm more emotional, so it's going to be more dramatic, melodic type of riffing. And here I just want to feel that groove, like, so we move around a lot like that depending on how we feel, you know. And it's like, that's always been a huge important factor to Cataclysm's evolution. That's why we're hard to pinpoint. It's hard to say Cataclysm is like this. No, because Cataclysm also has this. So that's we have a very rounded type of delivery, you know.
Yeah, and I've always loved that about the band. And you can look at any particular album and you're able to pinpoint those things on here. But obviously, with the new album here with Goliath, I mean, it's just a new version of that. Obviously, like mentioned, it's like it's post pandemic, it's a new era that's going on. And, like being able to hint at what you've done with like the previous couple albums, like there's more down tune that's going on. I think it's like the 7 or 8 strings that are going on now,
Yeah, we're
being
on the
able
set
to
that,
add more of that range. But that
right.
also just shows more of the musicality, that more of what you're able to accomplish with the band.
Absolutely, and it's the 7 string factor is something that we brought in on Unconquered. We felt it was time for us, even if the band is not a new band, it's been around for 3 decades now. It was time for us to try something new, modernize our sound, make it more accessible as well, in the sense that we don't want also to sound a certain way where the new generation is not going to get into us, in the sense that they're not, this sounds really old, I'm not into it, or whatever. We wanted to do a balance between what we've always sounded and bringing at least a sound a little bit more modern, and then combining it. And we've been lucky that it worked. Some bands it doesn't, right? So for us it worked, and we decided to continue on that journey right now. And that's why Goliath, to me, is an improvement from Unconquered on that level. The sound is even more crisp. You understand more things, what's going on, and the balances are great. But the delivery of this record is much more aggressive, just because of what happened to us. Where, like I said, we wear our emotions on our sleeves, and that's what we wanted to portray on this record. I mean, Unconquered came at a time where it was post-pandemic, so pre-pandemic, so we had a different way of thinking then. I mean, we always thought the same, but the feelings were different. So for us, it's been an incredible journey just to be here still after 30 years, and being able to do albums that are still making a huge difference. So I'm very happy about that.
And that's what's got me excited about the live setting. I mean, I haven't gotten the chance to see you guys since you started incorporating the 7 strings, but I imagine when I finally get to see you guys and you start incorporating some of those songs live, they're just going to sound absolutely crushing.
Oh yeah, they do already. When we are out there, let's say we're doing Crippled and Broken or Slither, they're always huge Cataclysm hits and Shadows and Dust and all that stuff. But when we start playing, for example, Underneath the Scars or the Kill Shot off the record, where the sound automatically just go boom, it's like, so we're capable of doing that. It makes it work in our favor, the way we plug it all in. But now that we have another record in that similar sound, it's going to be even more balanced out throughout the set. So I think it's the right place where we are, and we'll see where it goes. But we're very confident on this record.
Oh, for sure. So thinking about that a little bit deeper, I mean, obviously with a new album coming out, and I imagine, I mean, obviously the one single so far, and then I imagine at least 1 or 2 more before the album release. Like, how is that for you to like putting together the set list?
So it's tougher and tougher as time goes, right? Because we got so many records. So it's like we're at 15 records now. So it's like very tough to like satisfy absolutely everybody. But we did notice that when we start playing songs that we usually don't play live a lot, that are kind of B's or C's tracks type of thing, that people would consider not the most popular, we got a lot of attention. People are like, oh cool, they're playing this. So the other problem, it's not a problem, but it is in a way when you're trying to do a set list that Kataklysm has, is that we have fans that, for example, if you listen to an album, they're gonna like, I love this one and this one. Then the big one is this one, but everybody's like liking a different track on the record. So it's hard to get a good sense of what would be a perfect set list. So we do right now we have the opportunity to look at also our Spotify and our iTunes, and looking at what the order of popularity of the songs that we have are. So we make sure to cover a lot of those, but then we start playing around with things that people don't really listen to all the time, and keep it interesting.
Yeah, and I gotta imagine that's gonna be interesting for you guys as well too. I mean, being able to mix up the songs, obviously with being able to switch from like 6 and 7 guitars, being able to just mess with the set list and just change things up like that.
Yeah, of course. And JF's a mastermind at this stuff. I don't think he even changes guitars. He just changes tuning with a pedal, and he's able to move them around. It's some crazy stuff he's got going on in his setup. I don't ask questions because that's all Chinese to me. I don't understand the complexity of it. But it's one of those things where I see the vision of the band and the way we're working on sound and everything as something that's part of our evolution, the way we're moving, and it's true to us, and that's what's important.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. So, thinking about that as well too. Again, with Goliath coming out August 11th through Nuclear Blast, like, what are the plans going forward after the release of the album?
So basically, we're gonna start. The release of the record comes at the same time that we're going to be in Europe, doing a lot of big open air festivals like Wacken, Summer Breeze, and a bunch of stuff like this. We're going to be playing a lot of those festivals. That's all coming in August, so we got about 2 weeks touring there, and then we're officially going to start the campaign for Goliath probably in Canada in December. We're going to do some dates in Quebec and Ontario. I think that's the idea, right before Christmas. And then we're going to concentrate on the US and Europe, mainly in 24. So that's going to be the projects. We still got to shoot another single for this record in the next week. So we have still a lot of work ahead of us, but we're very confident on it. Like I said before, it's going to be a big record for Kataklysm. I'm pretty sure of it.
Yeah, and I love how inspired this album is. I mean, unfortunately, it came with a lot of circumstances worldwide that happened, but sometimes in the amount of darkness that happens, some great things can really happen. And I really feel that way about Goliath. I really love where you guys are at here in 2023, and I'm so happy to hear like all the touring plans, the festival shows, the full-on touring that's going to be happening this year and the next year, and the singles that are going to be released. I'm so excited to see what songs are going to be released as singles because I already have favorites off of the album, and I'm so curious to see what's going to be coming from that.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to tell you.
No. Oh,
Well,
no, I wasn't fishing for that. But
yeah, but the next one is Die as a King because already advertised everywhere. We're going to be releasing that one as the next single. But the third one is going to be an interesting one and a killer, crazy concept video we're writing and going to film for it. So I'm going to leave it at that. But one thing you said that's interesting is that you said that a lot of this stuff came out of all the events that have happened have brought, unfortunately, brought all some of this stuff into the music. But I say that metal was born the same way in general. It was born out of people being oppressed, people that didn't want to be stuff shoved down their throats. And we decided to become outcasts in our own way, create our own little world, which is the metal world we live in. And listen to the music we listen to, and that takes a special kind of person to do that. So, to me, Goliath is just an extension of all that.
Oh, definitely. And I'm so excited to see what others are going to be thinking of that as well, too. I mean, I've been so fortunate to be able to check out the album in advance, but when August 11th comes around and everyone's able to check this out, I'm hoping that they have the same feelings that I do, because I really do feel like this is one of the best Kataklysm albums in such a long time. And yeah, I can't wait to see all the promotion, all the songs that are going to be played live, and, just getting to see that tour, proper touring and live shows that really cover this album cycle, because it truly deserves it.
And so far, I mean, from what we've been getting from the feedback, it's big. It's like people are really into it, and to me, that's a satisfaction. It's not the amount of record sales. It's not any like that. I've been doing this for way too long to really care about that at this point. What we care about is are what we're doing is still relevant? Are people into it? Do you understand what we're doing? And are you still encouraging us to do it? And that, to me, that's what it matters at this point, and we're getting a lot of really good feedback on this record so far. So we're very happy about that.
Oh, that's awesome to hear. So, going a little bit outside of Kataklysm, like, is there anything that's going to be going on in the future outside of Kataklysm?
So like, you mean now the projects and stuff like
Yes.
that? So I think we will at some point do some new X Day, like it's a project that we on the side that's like based on the Roman Empire and stuff like that. So we historic facts and all that stuff. I think we're gonna do something with that at some point. Maybe this fall, start writing some stuff for that. So that's one of the ideas that we have. But other than that, we're gonna be really concentrating heavily on this record. We really feel we did something important and also special, and we want to push it as far as we can.
Oh, and it absolutely deserves that. But I'm so glad to hear that XDO will at least have some writing ideas that's going to be
It's
coming
gonna
up,
we're
because
gonna release.
I love what you guys do with that. I mean, I love
Thank you.
both projects so much, so I'm glad to see that both
Like
are
I'm,
still in talks.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what inspired me to ask about it, because I noticed the
Yeah,
shirt and I just
yeah,
wanted to
yeah,
see if
yeah.
there's
So
anything in the
we will
works.
do some stuff. I mean, I mean, there's still a lot of stuff I want to talk about. And what I love about it the most is that between XDAO and Cataclysm is how both projects kind of Cataclysm is very modern in the sense of it's today, dealing with some of your past things today and what the future holds. Whereas XDAO is stuff that already happened, so it's historic. And you look at both, right, and then they combine, like it's still happening, right? So nothing's changed in humanity's evolution in a way. We live much more comfortably. We have electricity, all kinds of great stuff, and life is much easier now in many sense of the word. Like we don't have to work as hard to do things as we used to, but the social aspect of it is very similar still.
Yeah, sadly, history does repeat itself far too often. But if nothing else, it does make for some great lyrical content for coming
It's
up with
great for
albums.
metal. It's great for metal. That's
Oh,
for sure.
definitely. Well, I think with that, I think that's an awesome note to end on. And I thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me about everything that's going on in the world of Cataclysm. And of course, Goliath out August 11th through Nuclear Blast. I love this album. It's one of my favorite death metal albums of the year so far. And it was so great to be able to hear about like the process that's going into it, the touring that's going to be coming up, and a little bit of XDAO as well. Just being able to hear what could happen with that in the future. It's been awesome to talk to you about all of it.
Well, thank you so much. And I'm the one that thanks you for taking the time to talk to me. So I appreciate that very much, and wish you all the best. And hopefully, we'll see each other at a concert or anything like that. And
Oh, for sure. I mean, next time you make it out to Minnesota, I'm definitely going to be making it out there. I'd love to be able to hear these songs in the past couple albums that I've missed out on too. I mean, whatever the set list is going to be, I know I'm going to enjoy it.
cool, sounds fucking good, man. So
All
thank you
right.
so
Well,
much.
awesome. You take care and have a great rest of the day.
Thank you, brother.
Hey, see
Appreciate
you.
it.